Good morning, YouTube land. How y'all doing? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Jason. Many of you don't know, my name's Jason. Klein Race Car Designs here. And I thought we would touch on the Pro Street era and the Pro Street era that was in modeling. And there was a lot of really good kits. And these kits were kind of the lifeline for me to do the Pro Street thing. As a young man, I grew up in the Pro Street era. Many of the things that we're going to kind of talk about are things to answer some of the questions that I get privately in emails or text or when I meet people, talk to people. The number one question that I get all the time is, Jason, you always say that modeling led you into one-to-one. Can you explain a little more how that happened? So I figured this is kind of going to open a little bit of the light to that. You got to have passion to get to, wanting to work on one-to-one cars, paying for one-to-one cars, all that stuff. And when you're 18, 19-year-old guy, 16-year-old guy, sometimes the money's just not there. You got stuff to do. So for me, I've been blessed that my family is very, very automotive. Like I said in one of my other videos with the short track thing, my grandfather and my uncle were dirt track race car drivers. My dad separated from the pack basically and went and did the drag racing thing. And that was my dad's thing. And of course, I like both. So, but the thing with the drag cars is you could drive them on the street. That's where you have today with drag and drive was a lot of the individuals in my generation is what helped inspire the whole drag cars on the street with license plates basically. So really, really cool. But one of the first jobs I had as a young man, I always had, all the way up till 2016, I always had multiple sources of jobs. So I've never, until this job where I've just focused on this one, but I worked for a guy as my second job that had a Pro Street shop. And it was really cool that he brought a couple of us young guys in there, and basically we had to do the grunt work, we had to do the crap work, load the trailer, unload the trailers, clean the trailers, clean the shop, help disassemble customers' cars when they were coming in to be Pro Streeted. That was his thing. I put the logo in the intro. I'll put the logo up in here in the middle a few times. But Greek's Pro Shop, he was the king at that time up here for doing a lot of those Pro Street conversions. The Boyd's wheels were really big. The Budnick wheels were really big. A lot of those big billet manufacturers were really popping up with a lot of parts. So Jimmy the Greek did a lot of that stuff. He had a lot of magazine cars, Pro Street and stuff like that, back half in it. So it was really cool to see the things that I was doing in model form with these kits I'm about to show you on real cars, learning how to chop up these real cars, separate these cars, whether they were full frame, what a unibody car was, all that stuff. It was a crash course lesson in how you had to put some of the structure in. And realistically, that helped me make choice paths on what type of schooling I wanted to seek out, right? Because you get some real life experience. To me, that's very important as a young man, is get some real life experience. Some people choose to get into the military and go that route, get some experience, get some knowledge, get some ideas on what you'd like to see yourself doing in the world. And that is valuable, and that's the case with this. So I got to say thanks to Jimmy. Jimmy unfortunately passed away, I believe it was 4 years ago, right around this time of the year, and it sucks. It really does. I miss cracking jokes with Jimmy. Jimmy was a hoot, very, very high-strung individual, but he was a lot of fun, and he taught me a lot over the years. So, and I just kept building my skill sets off of what I learned, and now you're into full tube chassis stuff. So really cool. So enough of that. Let's get into the models. This video might get a little long, but let's get into the models that we used in those days that I would buy up and collect and kit bash. So I kind of grabbed one of each of the ones that I still have, and we'll go through them. So let's flip this guy around and start it. All right, so the first one that I used to buy a lot and part out was this one here, the Mean and Nasty Pro Street Camaro kit. This was like 1986. Monogram released this. There was many different versions of this, drag cars, stuff like that. The Levi Garrett, the Ryer Morrison. I mean, there was lots of different versions of this thing that they boxed up. But this one here, I believe, was the first version of this Camaro where they actually put the Pro Street title in it. And this one had all the gold anodizing and stuff like this. But this kit was awesome to use the parts. I showed you a 70 GTX that I took and chopped the wheel tubs out of this thing, used the wheels and tires, the rear end, and put it in a GTX. So I would buy this kit up a ton. So I have a couple of these left. This is a really good kit to use for that purpose. So that was one of them. This was 1986. Really cool kit. Like I said, these kits, we didn't have printers back in the day. And then if you had like a smaller car, I would buy these things as well. And the cage bars are a little further back because of the Corvette. So we would buy this thing, and this had a different cage package versus the Beretta. So I've built a couple of these over the years. I've used a lot more of these things for the wheels and tires. They have some really cool Firestone tires in this kit. So this one here really has the street tire, where the Mean and Nasty Camaro still had the slick. So like I said, there was pro stock cars like Bob Glidden. There was a red Firebird. There was a few of those that were in that 86 range. This one here, I think this too was also one of the year that they started doing all these hot rod releases. So this one's 1987. Like I said, there's some really good parts in this kit. So got a few of those. Then the next one, which was basically a knockoff of that kit, was the Pro Street Beretta. This box art always kind of, drew me in that time. And I believe this one here was got to be 88. Yep, this one's 1988. Again, it's got the same wheels and tires. The chassis is pretty much the same platform, but the cage is a little bit different. Where the A-pillar bars are, the Corvette, it kind of swoops back and whatnot. But so all of these are still, this and the Corvette are the same chassis basically that they used from when they did the Rick Dobertson J2000 kit. Is all based off of this stuff too. So I mean, hence a lot of the similarities with some of the construction here as well. But this was a really good kit. I parted out a ton of these kits back in the day. Like I said, you didn't have 3D printing, so you had to buy kits to get the big wheels and tires from. So then when we got into you start getting into some of like the I guess you'd say, let's see, what's the date on this one here? Yeah, so like the early 90s, you started getting into some other really cool kits. Let's see, what's the next one? Yeah, that's 99. The Johan company was starting to phase out some kits, but then EMT then really picked up the pace, and then this one here came out. And for me, as a Mopar kid, a B-body kid, with my dad having all the Roadrunners and GTXs that he's got, when this thing came out, I bought a ton of these things. Basically, that Mopar chassis would fit under a lot of other Mopar cars and bodies, and you could use that to tub it out. And it had a street tire, and the street tire on the back of this thing was pretty much the same thing that was on the flip nose Chevelle. For the most part, they were very similar. Maybe they were the exact same thing, but it's a little small for the wheel tub, but it still was a good, you know, wheel and tire that you could use for other builds. I'd still take tires out of these other kits and stuff, combined wheels and stuff, but this thing was a really good deal. Let's see, what did I pay for this? $8.79 back in the day. Yeah, I love these kits. I bought a lot of them. And then the other one that then came out in like 91, this was, the Roadrunner was 90, was this kit here. Love this kit as well. Again though, this one's got slicks on it, and this is the first rendition of what everybody calls the Blue Nova now. The Blue Nova is this kit, new box art and different colored plastic. These here were really good kits. I love this kit. This kit was a lot of fun. I used this a lot. Had the tunnel ram. Again, came with that other engine and the engine stand, so that's always good for diorama stuff. But this Nova, I've got a few of these, the original ones like this, and this was a lot of fun to build. I love these. I always wished back then that they would come out with a 67, because the angle on the bezels on the fenders and stuff is a little different between 66 and 67. And then it was literally the next year, 91, this guy came out, the Pro Street GTX. This had a bigger tire, so basically they corrected the tire gap between what the Roadrunner was coming with and this one. Had a much better tire under it, a lot larger. And then this was the 69 model. So the Roadrunner was 68, this was 69. So you could modify this thing into making it into a 69 Roadrunner. But I think a lot of guys left them be the way they were. But another great addition was this kit to the market and the Pro Street theme. I'm sure a lot of people bought this kit and bashed the hell out of this, put these tires under a lot of Chevy products, Ford products. Really good kit. And then it was 92. Then this guy came out, and I never was a huge fan of that front end on the Coronets, but this one came with a nice big tire as well, and these were Mickey Thompson, so I really love these. The other nice thing that this kit also provided was they put the prototype race Hemi that was a dual overhead cam motor that Chrysler was, you know, toying with back in the days, their engineering department, and that motor is in this kit. So that is really, really cool. This kit has been re-released. There's a yellow box version, which I believe I have right here. That's the yellow box newer version. That's really cool. And then they also came out with a Dirty Donnie series, I think, of this Coronet kit as well. But this is a really nice kit. I bought quite a few of these for the Mickey Thompsons back in the day. And then another one that I would buy because I love the slicks. This was 1992. This is the last one I've got here, is this Pro Street AMX by Johan. This is when Johan switched the boxes up. I'm not sure if they got bought out and that's why the boxes changed. Not 100% sure what was going on there. Like I said, I was just a kid. I didn't really give a crap. I didn't know nothing about marketing and paying the bills or any of that stuff. So, but this one had a really nice set of Krager SS's, the slicks and stuff like that. Really cool. I used to just give the bodies away because I was never a AMX guy. I mean, AMC guys are very passionate about their AMCs, and these cars always had a very unique body style and design, and you either love them or hate them. I mean, that's what it basically boils down to. And so I like my Mopar stuff the better, as far as like the Dodge and the Plymouth stuff. Those were my go-to. But Again, these wheels and tires were awesome. These are the same wheels and tires that came in like the Cudas. Um, so really cool. And then the other Pro Street kit that I love for a lot of the same reasons, which were the wheels. And I believe this was released in '99. And this is under the Testers line. And I have a few of these. And that's basically the Johan Maverick or Comet. So this one here had some really great wheels. It had the same slicks. But the motors and stuff were really nice in them. I love this kit for the wheels and tires as well. And I think I gave some of the bodies away back in the day. So this one here, I just found this one last year at NNL North. And I got this for a really good price. And then I have one that's not open as well. But this one was brand new. So we got this earmarked for a real build to mimic a real car that I have pictures of. So really good kits here. Like I said, this was my era of model building right here. Is these were my go-to in the late 80s, early 90s. These were the kits that I favored and bought up for kit bashing. So if I bought a car and was going to build a Pro Street out of it, I would grab one of these kits to buy along with it. And that's kind of what started me buying multiple kits at a time, was that you would buy whatever it was you're going to build, then you would pick another kit out that had the parts in it that you needed, and you would then scavenge the parts kit to get the build done that you wanted to do. So these were my go-tos. So for the Pro Street era, that was what I did. So let's flip this camera around. So like I said, those things, they helped out a lot. That was before 3D printing. You had to purchase other kits in order to make things work, to get your vision out. A lot of guys too were dabbling in resin casting. There were some guys that did resin casting very well, that offered some wheels and stuff like that back in the day, but it was very thin. I mean, the hobby shops didn't carry a lot of that. It was kind of privateer things. You didn't have the internet. You didn't have a lot of that stuff back in those days. But it was out there, and if you talk to the right people, you could find some other parts and pieces, that somebody might resin cast, which was really cool. So you had to do some of the scratch building. You had to do some of that. So me chopping these cars up and learning new techniques and kit bashing, that was very intriguing. And then when you get to driving age, then you definitely wanted to do that with one-to-one stuff. So the big tires, the Pro Street era, man, it was a great era to grow up in as a young man. It was very awesome to go work for some chassis shops and learn different techniques, learn how to do all that fabrication. Once you started doing that on the one-to-one cars, then that's when you really kind of enjoyed the scratch building, the fabrication. So now that we're back into just building models, because after probably 10 years after the Duster and some of those cars were kind of getting to the point where things were getting a lot done and the car was good, then we started dabbling with slot cars when slot car tracks started popping up, and then we started doing the model bodies on slot cars. So that was really cool to hand fabricate with piano wire and stuff, the chassis, put a model body on it, and go drag race in the wintertime. That was really cool. And still to this day, I love the slot car stuff. But now, it's been 2 years that I've been, not longer than 2 years, going on 3 years, I think, since we've been back into building just models for models, not trying to make them into an actual moving target. It's fun to scratch build. It really is fun to scratch build. I enjoy the heck out of it. Taking stuff that is from the one-to-one stuff and doing it with the models. One of the cars, especially the 55, we did a cage in a few 55 Chevys, real ones, And I have all my numbers, my measurements and stuff from the real cars on the bends and all that for doing the cages. And I took and used them and scaled those measurements down and started bending some of the cage bars for the 55 build, and they fit. It was really kind of remarkable how close the measurements scaled down. So really, really cool to see the accuracy getting very, very close. You can do the math, and it'll get pretty close. Now, some of these things are a little off on scale on certain things, but you can get pretty close. And then if it's something that you don't like, you can just change it, add a little more, or whatever, take a little away. But really, really cool era. I'm very blessed to be a part of that. We had a lot of fun, and these kits helped inspire that. So I hope that kind of answers some of those questions. This is a kind of a loaded thing where you could just sit and talk about some of the things you've done and some of the things that inspired you for hours, and we don't have that kind of time, and nobody wants to sit through that. You kind of really have to have the interest to want to sit through one of those kind of conversations. But yeah, someday I'll have to dig up some of the photo albums of a lot of those projects over the times, the CarCraft shows, some of the Summer Nat stuff. I mean, a lot of that stuff was so big and so much fun. A lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. So great time. Yep. So I do love my Pro Street stuff. A lot of people always say, you build a lot of drag cars. I do, because that's where you elevate to. But I love the Pro Street stuff. I was always big into chopping stuff up and tubbing it and then doing it in real life. So thanks to all the great people around me. Thanks to all you great folks that watch this stuff. I really appreciate it. If this is your first time, please go down there, smash that subscribe button for me. Give me a thumbs up. And if you want to see more of this stuff and be notified, ring that bell. The YouTube is always changing its algorithm around, and it sucks because a lot of good channels kind of get lost to the wayside. So that's kind of one of the reasons and theories behind what we do on the AMC show every Thursday night with the channel shout outs, is to kind of remind people that there are great channels out there, and we review those channels, we look at those channels, we try to see what kind of message they're bringing. If it's very positive, then we're all about it. And the other ones that I really kind of tend to favor too is when people are trying to inspire people to get off their butt, go grab a kit and build it. Just sit down and build and have fun, relax, do something. For me, it's getting kids involved too, to get them off the computer and do something with their hands. I think that's really cool. And there's quite a few people that we have that watch our channels, meaning mine, Paul's, Bruce's, and Joe's channel, that are family orientated. And so we definitely try to do that same thing with the AMC show, and try and spread some of the tricks and the knowledge that we've learned either the hard way or somebody has graciously told us about. So that's one thing with the community, is I've met a lot of good people, and I talk to those people on a daily thing, and there's a lot of good information, people out there that don't steer you wrong. So again, though, like I said in one of my other videos, practice makes perfect. So get out there and practice. Nobody's perfect, and I still screw them up every once in a while, and you just got to overcome. So with that being said, I think we might even tag this. Maybe I got something else for Model Cars and Coffee, so check them out too. The Model Cars and Coffee, those are great. Paul hosts that. That's a good thing, but maybe we'll just leave this for the Saturday thing, and we'll figure out something for Model Cars and Coffee. So see y'all later. I got stuff to do, and I got a bench and a tube of glue over there and some paint that's calling my name. Peace out, everybody. Have a good weekend.